Welcome to Hannity. And earlier today, President Trump made a major announcement in the Oval Office about the Space Force, plus what's going on with free speech in the United Kingdom. A comedian just arrested for social media posts about trans activists, Nigel Farage, who may very well be the next prime minister and has a strong position on Donald Trump-style immigration enforcement in Great Britain. He'll weigh in just a moment. Also, Rosie O'Donnell is facing a huge backlash after her rush to judgment on the church shooting in Minneapolis last week. Wait until you see what she had to say. But first, it was another sad, tragic, yet completely predictable, violent weekend in the city of Chicago, leaving 58 people shot, 8 people dead. The city of Chicago has a major crime crisis, and while President Trump works to find solutions, the state's liberal politicians, they're so blinded by irrational rage and hatred, they are refusing to work with the president to protect their own citizens, their own residents. When asked about this weekend's violence, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker all but dismissed all of the data and, of course, tried to take a swipe at President Trump as if it's his fault. Take a look.
You're going to hear people, especially this past weekend, 54 shot, 7 dead. Yeah. They're going to say, the city's not safe. Would you ask your friends to ride the L after midnight or after, 9 o'clock at night even to come down to the city from O'Hare?
Look, big cities have crime. There's no doubt about it. But let's just pay attention to what President Trump is doing targeting Chicago. He's overlooking red states that have much higher crime rates.
That talking point would be called a lie. 58 people shot, 8 dead. Clearly, he cares more about hating Donald Trump than keeping innocent people safe. I thought all lives matter. Mr. Governor, is that not the case? Mr. Wannabe President Governor? Maybe you should pay attention to what President Trump is doing, because in just a matter of a few short weeks, he has managed to take Washington, D.C. By the way, it had the distinction of being the #1 homicide rate capital city, the highest murder rate of any capital city in the world, and turn it into a relatively crime-free city. Even Mayor Muriel Bowser offered praise for the president, saying violent crime in her city has dropped 45% compared to the same period a year ago. But if you listen to Governor Pritzker and you listen to Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, you would think that the worst thing imaginable is President Trump sending in law enforcement to keep people alive and safe and not getting shot. Governor Pritzker referred to it as a, quote, invasion. Take a look.
No one in the administration, the president or anybody under him, has called anyone in my administration and me, have not called the city of Chicago or anyone else. So it's clear that in secret they're planning this, well, it's an invasion with U.S. troops if they in fact do that.
Now, while Governor Pritzker was feigning outrage over a non-existent invasion, Mayor Johnson, he took to the streets to ask people if they were ready to defend Chicago, whatever that's supposed to mean. Take a look.
Are you prepared to defend this land that was built by slaves, a land that was built by indigenous people, a land that is built by workers? Are you prepared to defend this land?
Defend against law enforcement? Does that sound like a potential threat to law enforcement? Does to me. Now, these performative stunts from Pritzker, Johnson, have not deterred President Trump from trying to save American lives. Earlier today in the Oval Office, he told reporters he is sending federal law enforcement into Chicago, like it or not. Take a look.
Make your mind up on Chicago, though?
Well, we're going in. I didn't say when. We're going in. When you lose, look, I have an obligation. This isn't a political thing. I have an obligation. When we lose, when 20 people are killed over the last 2.5 weeks, and 75 are shot with bullets. So let me tell you a little story about a place called D.C., District of Columbia, right here where we are. It's now a safe zone. We have no crime. It's in such great shape.
Now, the saddest part of all this, these deaths, these shootings are preventable. The good people of Chicago do not need to live in constant fear for their safety. You cannot pursue happiness. If you don't have law and order, safety and security, it is impossible to pursue happiness. But this is not a new problem. For years here on this program, take a look at your screen. For years on this program, since Obama became president, we have been scrolling names you never heard of before, of people shot and murdered in Chicago, victims that you won't see or hear about on any other network. Governor Pritzker, Brandon Johnson, people are dying in your city. 58 people shot, 8 people dead, and I'm holding all of you accountable because you don't care. You're not lifting a finger. These lives matter. What will it take for you to understand that you and everyone else on the far left are on the wrong side of yet another issue? You are failing the people of your state, of your city, who are now begging you for help. They want to be safe and secure. They want to be happy. They want to find their purpose in life. Why did God create them? But you are so blinded by rage and hatred of Donald Trump that you'd rather push your failed defund, dismantle, no bail, reimagine the police with social workers, radical ideology. We know it doesn't work. In a press conference earlier today, Governor Pritzker and Mayor Johnson doubled down, tripled down on dumb, dumber, stupid, and crazy. Mayor Johnson even trying to blame red states for Chicago's crime problem. Can't make this one up. Take a look.
When did we become a country where it's okay for the U.S. president to insist on national television that a state should call him to beg for anything, especially something we don't want? Have we truly lost all sense of sanity in this nation, that we treat this as normal? I can't live in a fantasy land where I pretend Trump is not tearing this country apart for personal greed and power.
Chicago will continue to have a violence problem as long as red states continue to have a gun problem. Shootings will continue as long as this presidential administration continues to put politics over people.
Unbelievable. Mayor Johnson also signed an order aimed at resisting Trump's planned federal law enforcement operations in the city of Chicago. It's meaningless. Once again, the left is on the wrong side of an important issue. At a minimum, it's an 80-20 issue, probably a 90-10 issue. Law and order, safety, security, common sense. Anyway, it's coming out as pro-crime, anti-safety is such an outrageous position to take that even MSDNC's liberal Morning Joe, now he may be trying to save his job from low ratings, maybe, and maybe he's trying to make a pivot. I don't know, but he actually made sense for once. Take a look.
I actually think that J.B. Pritzker should do something radical. I think he should pick up the phone, call the president, and say, you know and I know you don't have the constitutional authority to deploy the National Guard here and to police my you can do that in D.C., you can't do that in Chicago. But let's partner up. Because right now, just hey, nothing to see here moving along. No problem here. Hey, Donald Trump, we don't need you. And, you know, the mayor talking about we're going to protect people's dignity in our city. Well, protect their lives. That's protecting their dignity.
All right, let me be clear. Mayor Johnson, Governor Pritzker, they're failing the people of Chicago, and their lives are not safe and secure. Violent crime is out of control across the city and the state. Again, 8 people dead. They should be alive. 58 people shot. They shouldn't be in a hospital. These were preventable. But instead, 8 funerals are now being planned while dozens more are dealing with gunshot wounds. And still, the state's liberal politicians are so blinded by rage for President Trump, they're refusing to keep their own residents safe. Our very own Nicole Parker was in Chicago today, speaking to the people in that city. Let's see what they had to say.
What do you think about President Trump? He's offered to provide assistance to help make Chicago safe, to bring in potential National Guard, potential, federal law enforcement officers and agencies to give help to Chicago. How do you feel about getting help to make your city safe?
Help is needed.
How do you feel? Do you think that protecting and making Chicago safe, should that be a political issue?
I think Chicago can take all the help we need. So if it turns into a political issue, then tomato, tomato. If it works for the environment, for the safety of, the people, then I'm with it. Yeah.
National Guard coming here is not going to stop anything.
I think it's a good idea. Because, look, we need more. I mean, what's wrong with more help?
Right. Let me explain something. When you step outside your apartment or your house, you're in a war zone. You don't have to be in Iraq and Afghanistan. And if you think I'm lying, let's check out the news every day.
He's only going to Chicago and every state that is a Democratic state. Tell me why.
But you think that President Trump could step in and help?
Yeah, I'm thinking, yeah. I mean, I don't see no harm in that.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.